As you will all recall, I was making some demonstration videos on how to play these Lumosity games. They really need to get fixed. I made these demonstrations on how they work and some ways of doing things to help stuff work out. But I forgot to put on the selection choices so that you can see. As far as I can see, Feel the Beat and Have Your Cake don't need any selection sheets because they've got everything they need, and everybody's gonna be able to work that out just fine. However, Fuse Clues is supposed to get some selection pages to see what's going on, and there's a pad to tell you how it all works out. It starts with the apartment building, and that building's power was blown out by a severe thunderstorm, and you can tell because the thunderstorm blew the power out to the whole building. But here's how it would work with the mini mall. That would start with some short circuiting going on at Precario's Electronics when Sir Rodrigo Precario had this videotape pirating ring going on, and with all the work he did, that was making it hard to maintain the power, as well as stealing from the movie makers, and of course the way the FBI had testified against him. And here with the department store, that starts with a person in there who was very mad at the toy giving machines because of the short timing and the money eating things. That is really, really bad. How that starts is there's a customer who unplugs the machine and puts a pen in the electrical cord right near where the machine is, where it's plugged into that machine. And then when a store employee comes to plug it back in, it causes a short circuit and blows out the power to the whole department store. The school building, however, as you can see it, the power's blown out because the power company had a breakdown and it shut down the power to the whole city. And so we have to try and get it all to work again. When you start with the airport concourse, it's pretty easy to tell because there was a terrible power surge that happened. And that power surge caused the power to go out in the whole concourse. For the street lights and the downtown lights and the parking lot lights, they all got blown out by a severe thunderstorm too. It struck the power lines. The park lights, if you choose that, that starts with the tree branch falling on some electrical wires, just like you saw in Home Alone 1. The ripping of the wires blew out all the street lights to the neighborhood. The farm lights, however, they went out based on a car that crashed into some power lines, and it brought the power line down, blew everything out. Here's the yellow selection board as you can see it. This board helps you see how much you've completed, and that's how you work out stuff with street lights. This is the area completion sample. It shows how much you've completed, how much you relit to get stuff working again. And this board right here shows you what you finished lighting up with the ending results, and so you can see how much you've done. But here, by the traffic signal, however, and the pedestrian flasher, and the four-way flasher, and the school zone flasher, that starts with a school class going over to the park for the afternoon, and then they discover that the traffic signal where they cross the street at is out. None of the lights are functioning, and what happens is when they look towards some other traffic signals, they are. And the same thing rings true for the pedestrian flasher, four-way stop flasher, and the school zone flasher. And when it comes to the railroad crossing and the train signal, you could easily tell because some people in a group are walking to go across the tracks, but they noticed that a train was coming, but the signal wasn't flashing at all. Here with the rotating beacon, that pretty much starts with something going down an electrical outlet that was on the floor, and it blew out power, so the beacon couldn't come on that night. And here's the runway lights at the airport, and what happens is during these runway lights going, a pilot is taking a school class for an airplane ride one night, and then they discover that the runway lights are all out, and so they have to try and get them started again. Here's the red selection board that shows what everything is like. Here's the area completion sample to see how much has been fixed up, and here's the board completion sample that shows what it was that got fixed. This is also going to have something to do with vehicles. You got small vehicles like this motorcycle, medium-sized vehicles like this truck, marine vehicles like this boat, flying vehicles like this airplane. airplane and spacecraft as well. What happens is these vehicles go into a repair shop or some kind of lube, whether Minute Quick or Jiffy, and some of its accessories need to be fixed up, such as the turn signals, the headlights, the radio, the fan, the wipers, the horn, and such, even the defroster fan, and they need to get it back on so everything works out. And don't forget the dashboard lights as well. They really need to be kept on as much as possible when it comes to the things being relit. Here's the blue selection board. It shows what you've done. Here's the area completion sample. Shows how much you've done too. And here's the board completion sample. It shows you what vehicles you've already fixed up. Small vehicles such as motorcycles, medium-sized vehicles such as cars, trucks, vans, buses go into a Minute Lube to get some fuses replaced if ever need be. Marine vehicles go to a port where they need to get their things with. Flying vehicles, however, go to a hangar to help get some things fixed on them, such as the cabin lights and the emergency exit lights and even some other stuff in there. The spacecraft also goes to a hangar, but it's mainly at the Space Center. Here's another game called Racing Hazards. With Racing Hazards, this selection board shows you what you can race with. As you can see, there are no offers to race cars or any motor vehicles whatsoever, because racing is about health, not about fuel burning and recklessness and failing exercise. You can easily see that from all of these that there's better ways you can race. And the front page here actually shows what it's supposed to look like. You can walk, you can jog, you can run, you can ride a bicycle, you can ride an adult tricycle, you can go on a foot scooter, you can do it in a wheelchair, you can go dog sledding, you can go skiing, you can go sledding, you can go rollerblading, you can even race on crutches. That wouldn't hurt half as much. Just because your leg is in a cast or your spinal is cracked doesn't mean that you can't participate in a race, because you know that you can. You can even pedal a boat across a lake. Some people do a race with their arms and the paddles, but pedaling a boat is even better. It sure beats having a race in a motorboat, because it really means nothing racing one of those. You can even go swimming across, just like the young girl in that one story did. And here's the starting and stopping destination selection pad. You type in where you want to start and then where you want to stop, and then the rest of those traffic rules and game controls do the rest of the work. Here is the game of Top That. As you can tell, it doesn't work the way it should be, and so here's the selection list as up to what you can work for, and the selection list is on both the Top That starting and the Moneycomb front page. Before you start the game, you click which one you want to work towards. Here's one where you can take a vacation. As you can see, it talks about visiting relatives or going to go see friends at Trips Incorporated, because those are some more recommended vacations that you can do. Here's a traffic signal sample. As you can see, it's getting an upgrade because you start with the old one and the arrow goes down to the new one, and when you click on it, you got a list of the different ones that are being upgraded. The chance of it being related to Salt Lake City, Utah is pretty high because they're working towards their completion of all these changes, and soon they're going to have a party to celebrate it all. Right here is thoroughfare construction. With thoroughfare construction, you can easily see what thoroughfares are up to. You click on that and it'll show you all the different thoroughfares that are going to be going up in the world somewhere. It's listed in a couple different places so that you can see what's going to be happening. I finally found the courage to talk about Spokane's North and South Freeway construction, just like you see here, because their predicament has finally been solved. It turns out that a disability called low functioning like a 2-year-old is responsible for it, because with that at stake, it just causes more things destroyed than replaced. And with that at stake, it's about time Spokane will consist of the hospitals where brain replacement and neurophysiology will be available. And the neurophysiology is chemicals for those with hyper disorders to destroy things just as much. In fact, Spokane has actually made an agreement to have those things within their vicinity so that no one has to go out of town to get those medical repairs. Going out of town for medical repairs is just not the kind of thing people are desired for. Here's a picture of an intersection being converted to an interchange. If you click on that, you will see all the intersections that will be required to be converted to interchanges. They will be needed in order to make traffic safe and easy to go by, and I think everyone would really appreciate that. Here's some terrace construction too. It looks kind of neat the way it's drawn. I mean, everybody has a different preference of what they like. Maybe hills going up and down. This is the best drawing that I have. Click on it and it can show you all the terraces that we're going to be building in the world. This would include the United States if we had more equipment that was put together with the metric system and not the standard system in measurement. It would work out a lot better if we did. Right here is a game called The Factory. It started out as the Robot Factory. It's there so that you can pick and choose what you want to make. But the game is actually based on how to play and how good you'll get by ignoring any little things that aren't right. Anyone with an artificial ability to ignore as well as able to naturally do it would be able to succeed in the game, and they get a lot more out of it if everything else is working. But here's something else that's also great. You got a selection pad here to see what it is you really want to add in, and if you do that, you can easily see what you can pick and choose from. You've got traffic management equipment that you can do, and when there's a list of them all, you can see what you want to make. If you clicked on traffic signals, however, you would find out about all the places in need of a traffic signal and all of the places that are upgrading traffic signals too, just like you saw once before. Vehicles in manufacturing mostly would have to do with the cars in Detroit, but then there's other vehicles like trucks, like airplanes, like jets, like carriers, container ships, and even spacecraft. With different foods, however, you can pick a couple ideas. Some people like to make ice cream, some like to make chips, some macaroni and such. Then there's different art supplies you can make too. Mostly they talk about making erasers, and erasers usually very handy in the event you make a mistake. Just like in that one clip on Square One TV, "Oops is brought to you by erasers. Don't make a mistake without one." That's a very handy thing to do. And there's all sorts of other art supplies you can pick from too. And you can even make tools. Some people find a lot of pleasure in making electric saw blades. I really don't agree with that because I'm very claustrophobic around power saws, especially because people have been known to lose parts of them doing that, even at their most careful moment. And then there's toys that can be made too. We've got balloons is what people like to make the most. And then we've got other tools too, such as garden hose or rakes. Then we got appliances such as stereos and record players and audio intel boxes, and melody guide monitors, and even speakers that you can make out of that. And then there's other electrical appliances too. Here's bathroom fixtures. Mostly people want to know how toilets are made, then how faucets are made too. We got electronics and media, and so that would consist of records and CDs and computer databases. You got different types of lights you can make too, and don't forget the wires that light them up, and then the pipes being made as well to help carry water and gas and even waste products, the natural ones. And here's Eagle Eye. With Eagle Eye, you can pick which category of animals that you want to go by. It'll pretty much start with birds, and when the database has found all the birds, that choice will gray out, and then you have the rest of these to pick from. And for every time you found everything, it'll all be grayed out. Eventually, it will get to other science branches. You'll get to know the whole biodiversity system and ethnic backgrounds in people, and even other branches of science like botany, like astronomy, like geology and such. This game could put on a lot of scientific fact behind all you know about. Here we've got the game Magic Chance. And for a selection, we have just about all there is that you can see very clearly. Magic Chance having only plain cards really has no meaning at all, but this selection chart can help you see what you can really do. New cards such as chemical elements, you can use it to make different things. The chart shows how it's made. You got uppercase letters you can do stuff with. You got lowercase letters too to help you spell a word. You got numbers and math signs so you can set up equations. You got punctuation marks so you can see where everything goes and how they're used. And here's traffic signals. There's up to about 39 different types, and whenever you go and arrange them, you can see which intersection uses that kind of traffic signal. Or you can just pick from the plain cards and see what you have then. Right here in Memory Matrix, however, all you ever get is aquamarine squares. That's too bland. You gotta be able to come up with better stuff than just one shape and one color. You should be able to pick your shape and color from any one of these pads. You can see all these different pads on this big pad. You can pick what you want through these. When you click on a square, you get another pad where you can pick your shape and color pretty easily. Here is a chart of some hole shapes that you can pick from. Here is a picture of some hollow shapes that you can pick from. Here is a picture of some section shapes that you can pick from. You can even do it with numbers and math signs like these. Here are some you can do with uppercase letters. Here are some you can do with lowercase letters. So now you see why we need selection sheets for all these games. That's how we go to work them out. That's how everything goes. As for fuse clues, however, you go through a book, mostly math books, and what happens is with that math book you answer some equation questions. They're doable with all sorts of other books too, and when you answer these questions right, it'll help the fuse plug in. And so for every question it shows the page turning to another equation, and there's supposed to be at least 10 pages to go through, and the page turning makes it look like you're working in a textbook just like you do at school. That's how everything works. So now you see how a selection list for all these games makes it effective. And now each of these games have something you can select with. And I hope you like it.